It's funny, it's sitting up pretty high, but it feels like the center of gravity is low.
Yeah.
And when I opened that hood and I saw how low that engine was, I said, oh, okay, that's why. It's pretty amazing.
Doesn't get old.
No, not at all. I mean, it really is just a quadra-purpose vehicle. You can use it for anything. You know, perfect to go to the prom, you know, whatever you want. Welcome to an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Today's episode all about trucks. Really fast, really powerful trucks. We got the Bronco Raptor right here and the F-150 Raptor R with 700 horsepower, over 640 foot-pounds truck. Something we'll find out in a minute. I'm going to bring in a gentleman here, and he's got a good truck name. Tony Greco. That's a good truck-sounding name. He's a program director, and he's an engineer, so he knows all about it. He's not a marketing guy, so you don't have to listen to all that. He's all about what makes these fast, what makes them strong. Tony, come on in. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Jay.
Thanks for coming. So
Thanks for having me.
This is your baby. Pretty impressive.
Not just my baby. It belongs to all of Ford Performance, and we're super proud of it.
Okay, now we're looking at, is it 640 foot-pounds of torque?
It's 640 foot-pounds, yep.
Okay. 10-speed transmission?
10-speed transmission.
See, that's amazing to me, because the more powerful an engine, the bigger the gears have to be in the transmission to keep from eating itself up. I remember when these only came with 3 speeds, because anything else, they would break.
Yeah.
We're looking at gears maybe the size of a $50 or something for a lot of them, and it's shifting 10 times, which is unbelievable to me.
One of the things, Jay, that I will tell you is that when you bring this much power into a truck like this, there's a lot of analytical tools that tell us that hardware will be robust, and those are important things, but the testing that really has to happen on something like this out not too far from here, right in the desert, you know, the guys come out here and really make sure that those analytical tools are telling us the right thing. And so the driveline on a product like this is super important, you know, because we need to make sure that the power that we're putting in, right, ultimately will deliver the performance we want for the customer, but then also give them the quality that they deserve.
Right. Full warranty, correct? Because I remember the old days when you bought a truck, there'd be a little thing in the warranty. If any use of off-road eliminates the warranty, or it's 90 days, or whatever it might be. I mean, they tell you to go out and beat the crap out of this thing, don't they? It's as if Ford is producing a track-only race car. Sure. You know, like the Ford GT they build track. Obviously, it works great on the street. It's got the full luxury interior. But you know, I noticed in the back there are no leaf springs. Now, all the other ones have leaf springs. Yeah, right? So that, again, right, so this is, let me just back up for a second. So this is the Raptor R, and it's the 2023 model year truck. In 2021, we launched the Gen 3 Raptor, and in that truck, right, we made the decision to come off of the leaf springs, and that the Raptor is the only product within all of F-Series, so that includes, you know, F-150 all the way up, to be using a different rear architecture. And we really did that for, you know, lateral stability and traction, because that's really the key when you go off-road. This truck, again, you know, kind of came a year and a half, 2 years later. It brought the power on that chassis that was kind of, we needed to put in place first, right? We did not think it was the right thing for the customer to put the power onto the leaf spring chassis. So it needed to come kind of in a sequential manner. And that's kind of the strategy that went into the development of keep the EcoBoost in, and let's kind of redo the chassis. We put the rear on coil springs. We redesigned the front, got a bunch of travel. We introduced the 37-inch tire, which got you further, you know, a greater distance off the ground, all very helpful to the off-road environment. And then once we had the chassis figured out, right, it's fairly straightforward to then take this engine and incorporate it into the truck, right? And that's kind of what we refer to as bringing the power with the Raptor R. And it eliminates the axle hop. Because I remember in the old days, if you're actually, oh, my car's got so much power, I can't keep it on the road. It's like it was a sign of almost machismo. You things bouncing on the road. But with the coils, it does. It squats down and is able to do its job.
And just the traction is a night and day difference. It's not to say that, you know, the Gen 2 Raptor or even the Gen 1 Raptor, they are great trucks, but it's part of the evolution of the Raptor brand where we're constantly trying to continuously improve and innovate and do things that are really kind of helpful for the off-road enthusiast. That's who we're designing for. Everything is purposely designed for that enthusiast. Once you come away from that, you're kind of losing. You're kind of losing what the Raptor is.
And it's funny because roads are so bad now. This is really what you need because roads are so bad. I've got a Tesla. I've blown out 2 tires in like 6 months. You're going, bam! Especially there's water on the potholes like this deep. You don't even realize I did it to my Oldsmobile. I do it all the time with something like this. It's always off road.
Yeah, well, I mean, Michigan roads, you know, where we are pretty bad. You know, we come through those tough winters, and then you come out and it's construction season, and you know, I'll tell you, like, when you're driving in a Raptor, it feels to me like it handles that pavement that's been chipped and kind of destroyed through the winters. It handles it perfectly. But the really neat thing about these Raptors, and it's not just this F-150 Raptor, it's also the Bronco Raptor, right? When you put them on these 37, these are big tires, right?
Big tires.
Lots of sidewall. They do ride really, really well. It's like you're in the clouds, right? You can just kind of put the cruise control on and off you go.
Before this had the V6 EcoBoost. What was the horsepower on that?
So that's 450, 510.
450, okay. You put the V8 with 700.
Correct.
How much heavier is it?
So can you imagine, and this is a credit to the team and specifically our chief engineer who kept an eye on the weight, right? Like, because what you don't want to do is you want to give the customer all that extra power, but you don't want to take all your weight advantage away. We added 250 horsepower in this Raptor R, and it's like 85-ish pounds extra. Well, that's not so bad, is it?
No, not really.
So when you think about it, right, this engine dropped right basically into this chassis with only a minor spring rate change in the front. Everything else is effectively the same. Right, so again, it's a credit to the thinking and the strategy of developing first the Gen 3 Raptor on the V6 and then evolving that without having to re-engineer the entire thing. That chassis was very reusable when we got to the Raptor R.
Okay, and is it all-wheel drive or can you just go to rear wheel?
No, it's 4x2, 4x4, 4 auto, 4 low.
Okay.
Same as the V6.
This always makes me smile. I'm told that this is really popular with people. To me, it reminds me of like the 70s.
Yeah.
But truck guys like it because cold weather, you got gloves on, you know, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But a guy always said, why do they still have this? Because
it's been a Ford thing for a long time, and I'll tell you what, our customers love it. I know I don't necessarily use it, Jay, but people love it.
Now tell me about the Supercharger. How many liter is that? Do you know?
So I believe it's just under 3. It's a pretty big Supercharger, you know, because it's a 5.2 liter. To get that power out, it does need a pretty big blower on there. And with that, you know, and this again comes with, you know, taking a motor that, you know, kind of starts maybe in the Shelby Mustang, and then as it makes its way into the truck, right? The thing that we spent time on is kind of the air side, so you know, the air induction piece of it, you know, kind of making sure this thing could breathe into the exhaust. The exhaust underwent a little bit of redesign versus the V6, right? So the breathability is a key component of this truck and being able to get the power. The other thing is too is that like the sound, right, which is something that, you know, we listen to customers, right? They've been telling us they wanted a V8 for a long time, right? When we put this engine in, right, the sound is an essential component, right? It's that visceral sound that you get upon startup, right? And that tuning that kind of goes into that, it kind of starts at the front and goes all the way to the back. And that's an exercise that we undergo to make sure that it's exactly the way that we want it and what we want to give to the customer. So this thing's really it's a pleasure to start. So it starts there. Now that is the engine piece, right? From there, like I mentioned to you, the drive line is super important. You go out, we come out west, we test and test and test and test until we revalidate everything to ensure that, you know, we're giving a quality product to the off-road enthusiast.
And the interior is what's pretty amazing. It's all, I mean, it doesn't look like a truck interior.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
And I will tell you, on this truck specifically, the aesthetics of it, you know, played a slightly smaller role than on the V6 because we wanted it to be about the motor, right? This is about bringing the power. So you'll notice if you compare it next to a V6, this is very subtle in its appearance, right? So yes, there are color and material changes, and yes, there are badging differences. The one thing that we did, because we thought it was special for the customer, was give you the kind of that power dome, elevated hood scoop, so that when you're sitting behind that wheel, you know that there's something good underneath that.
Right. So there's no reason for it other than aesthetic.
It does extract air a bit better than the.
So coming out, it comes out under here.
Yeah, no, I believe, right on the top here, there's graded in the 3 spots.
But when you say subtle, there's nothing subtle about it. I mean, it's pretty, pretty unsubtle. And it is a big truck. But like I say, you could drive off the showroom floor and enter a race with it, couldn't you? And you're all set to go.
And that's a thing that, you know, some people, and I always remind, because I get asked this question a lot when we talk to media and we talk to customers, it's like, Raptor has a vision. The vision is always to kind of get closer and closer to trophy truck performance, right from the factory floor. And this product right here, when you put the power in, does exactly that, right? It brings you closer to that level, because, you know, those guys are on the desert running with 1,000 horsepower. That's what this does. It gets you closer to that vision.
And what did they? So it's the same motor as the GT500, the Shelby. They've lowered the torque curve, so more torque is down low. Okay, it's just about the same horsepower as the Shelby. Or
so the Shelby, I think the Shelby that is in production or was in production here just a short time ago, I think came out at 760, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
We backed it down to 700. That was kind of the sweet spot. In the end, right, and this is a question I get all the time as well, right? Well, why couldn't you give me an extra 4 horsepower, right? Because there's someone out there sitting at 703.
Right, yeah.
Just to say, right? Without naming names. But here's the thing, Jay, it's not about just that. It's not about that number. It's about, power to weight, which plays a big role. It's also, in like from a weight perspective, right, with the aluminum body that we got from the F-150 team back in the last gen, right, this truck probably has a 400 to 500 pound weight advantage over our competitor, our main competitor. That plays a huge role in the desert.
And the 10-speed transmission just keeps the power curve. I mean, 10-speed, it just seems hilarious to me. It seems like something that should be in a Ferrari or something. It just seems unbelievable that a truck could, because if you're in 10 and you're going 60, what are you turning, 2,100 RPM?
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I know the mileage is not good.
Well,
but it's going to, but this is, you don't buy this for mileage.
No. It's not a why buy.
No, exactly. I mean, you're buying it as a vehicle that you want to go race and then drive to church on Sunday, So. Oh, very cool. Disc brakes are obviously discs all the way around. Are they the brakes out of the Shelby or bigger?
No. So what we do typically on the Raptors is we try to use because the F-150 has very good brakes, very good hardware that we can reuse, right? So we're trying to, and that's the thing too. You got to pick your spots in the in the development of something like this. This is a disruptor in the plant. You know, when you bring something like this, it's wide, it's tall, it's got a. They sometimes tell us that the basketball team assembles the Raptors of this size. So we have to kind of work with the plant, work with the base team to reuse all the hardware that we can, and then we pick our spots where we want to go with something unique. Now, I will tell you that the Gen 3 Raptor is as unique as it's ever been. From a part count, it's as unique as it's been versus F-150, and it's just but to give you this level of performance, right? We need to manage that.
And the F-150 Lightning, which is of course all electric, building that allowed you to build this. because you get your, obviously for a corporation, if your mileage falls below a certain level, the government comes after you.
Yeah.
So if you sell some electrics, you can continue to build it. If this is the only truck you built, you'd probably be in trouble.
Yeah,
right?
you'd probably be in a little bit of trouble. Compliance is something that we
Yeah.
deal with on a daily basis, and it's not just a truck thing; it's a corporate thing that we're trying to manage at a very, very high level. Obviously, this one kind of works against you.
Right.
There's products in the portfolio that try to offset that a bit. But there's a customer for this, right? And we know that there was a customer for this, and that plays a role in bringing a product like this, to market. Is that they've been asking for it, right? And we're listening. Maybe we can't bring it at exactly the time they want it because they're like, give me right now. And as I said, the chassis needed to be developed first. But there's a customer for this. Yeah. There's that guy that still has a score to settle in the desert, and he needs something to kind of go settle that score. This is for him.
So this is a truck you don't need. This is a truck you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you get a 6-cylinder with a 3 on the tree if you're just going to move things around.
And that's a great truck.
Yeah. But this is something that's, well, you go racing with it, which is what's fun. And this is the golden age of horsepower. I hear everybody complain, they're all worried. But we're seeing the most powerful engines in the history of American automobiles. I mean, 450 was the top of the range with a 427 years ago. Yeah. This is a V6. Yeah. I remember the 6-cylinder in the V8 and the 350R Mustang that I have. It was 306 horsepower. Ooh, that was unbelievable. Yeah. This will blow the doors off. It's very funny. Yeah. Well, can we take it for a ride?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go for a. I've been reading about the ride quality of this. I read a couple of articles last night, and everybody seems really impressed by that. Which it's amazing that a vehicle can be 2 or 3 things at the same time. Because in the old days, it's either a race truck or it's a people mover or whatever you want to call it. But all right, let's give it. Let's open the hood. Just take a look under the hood.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we do. Oh, it does sit kind of low, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see, what do we got here? Well, I mean, it's all there. The old days of getting the engine dress-up kit is pretty much gone. Yeah. But impressive. All right, let's take it out.
Let's take it out.
Sounds good. It makes you laugh. Horsepower can cure any problem.
It does. Yeah.
It really does. Boy, it really rides very nice on these tires, doesn't it? It's just...
Yeah, that's the thing with the Raptors, that from a daily driver perspective, we have a lot of people who buy Raptors and they don't do any off-roading, and they just use them as daily drivers, and they love them.
Well, that's pretty much the case with almost everything. I mean, all these people, they've got the Kinzer chassis with all the...
Sure.
And they never... I've got my 68 Bronco there that we totally redid for SEMA. Yeah. And I don't really take it off because I put all this time and money into building it. I want to beat the crap out of it.
Right.
But it's such a fast... Yep. If I was 16, I'd be dead now with that thing. It's because it's short wheelbase. It's almost 800 horsepower.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, this is a like I said, Raptors. We've seen it like from Gen 1, Gen 2, even now into Gen 3. It's an amazing thing. Yeah. Like you go to New York City where you can't even, like a truck like this size doesn't really belong in New York City, and yet you see them parked on a meter.
Yeah.
I was, and it's kind of been, it's a global thing, right? So we have a product of a version of Raptor that we send to China, and it's become like just a cult. It has a cult following in China. So it's really been an amazing thing, and how it's evolved in just under a decade and a half. Now,
what mode am I? Am I in sport mode now?
So right now, I believe you are in normal mode. Okay. Now, if you want to kind of change your modes there, the drive mode, you just kind of turn the dial there, and it'll pop up on your screen. Okay, so you're in normal right now, right?
Off-road.
So there's your off-road, right?
Sport.
And it'll automatically shift you, right? So it's gonna kind of do multiple things to prepare you for that off-road experience if you want to keep going. Yeah, there's the Baja, which is what you would use if you're gonna go fast in the desert.
Okay. And then I got Baja, and then
then if you want to do some rock crawling, right, which again it'll shift you into 4 low.
It's amazing how electronics can just. This is a heavy truck. It's a big truck. Yet power steering, power brake. Yeah. You feel like you shed 3,500 pounds when you get in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Love that Ford is getting away from touchscreens, going back to kind of buttons and stuff. I find it the most distracting thing in the world. You know, you're in your car, you change. Are you happy with your selection? Yes. Would you make the selection again? Yes. Yeah. Just let me change the radio. You know.
Yeah, I think I'm super supportive of going back to buttons because I like them too. Right. That just that feel, and you know, and I don't need to answer a question that, you know, like, are you sure you want to do this, or you know, I don't want it to be I don't want the cockpit to turn into my iPhone, you know.
I was driving something the other day, and I couldn't find the radio. I'm going, okay. I pulled over, I get the manual out, I read through all the, you know, do not drink contents of battery signs and all that stuff. You know, I just trying to find.
Yeah.
How do I get FM?
Yeah. You know, just the radio.
Yeah, and my eyes are off the road. Yeah. 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 I think these touch screens will go back to the era of your door is ajar. My car talks. Remember when that was a big?
Yeah. When that was a big deal.
Listen to this, honey. The door is ajar. You know. The other place I've seen really big improvements are in just the fit and finish of the interior stuff, the dash stuff. I mean, everything fits on. I can remember the old days. It'd be, you know, it'd be a little wider here at this end and at that end. Yeah. But everything is just like a solid billet. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember those days where you'd have these A gaps and they'd just be nothing's parallel, and it's a pretty bad look, really. But no, things have come a long way, and this interior is just, you know, a really nice interior, and it's worthy of this kind of truck, you know.
Let's see what I got here. Still using the Howard Wills logo. You know who he is? You ever hear that name? Wills was Henry Ford's, one of his first employees. And Wills is a genius. He developed the logo, he developed the vanadium steel, he developed the planetary transmission for the Model T. And like everybody else that worked with Henry Ford, he got mad at him and they had a fight, and he left in like 1912 with his $12 million worth of stock. And when you paid no taxes, and he started his own company, the Will St. Clair car, and he built a V8 overhead cam, bevel drive to the overhead cam, just a very sophisticated motor. And Henry Ford told him nobody wants to go 70 miles an hour, you know. But he said no, and he was pretty successful the first year. Then the recession hit, and the whole thing went down the drain. But I've got one. It's just a brilliant car, just a brilliant car.
How many of those you think are around?
I think they built a total of 12,000 cars. There's probably 150 left. Because like a lot of stuff, it was made with aluminum and precious metals, and when the war drive came, all that stuff just got melted down and crushed. It was a shame. I enjoy seeing the transmission go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It just makes me like,
doesn't get old.
No, not at all. And you can go into manual shift mode as well, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. The range select, is on in the pad. If you start using the paddles, it'll convert it right to the paddles.
quadra-purpose vehicle. You can use it for anything. You know, perfect to go to the prom, you know, whatever you want. Now, can I run this center screen as a full screen, full time, rear view, or is it only on for a short period of time?
No, I believe that that we went away from in the in this. Let me see here. I believe that now stays, and it won't go away. There was speed limited for a while there,
right?
And I believe now you do have the ability to.
Yeah, why would you not want to be able to see what's behind you? Because you got to look at the rear view twice. Now, this rear view, is that a camera or is that just a rear view mirror?
No, there's a rear view. There's a camera in the stoplight.
Okay.
In the upper mounted stoplight.
Can you use that as a rear view mirror, or is it a camera only?
It's camera only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we don't have that incorporated into the. That's a TRX thing. If you've seen the TRX thing, it's got one that comes out the back, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's cool for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then it makes me a little, when I'm looking out the back, right, and I see, it makes me a little dizzy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's a little distracting.
Yeah.
It's cool, a little distracting. So Raptor is, you know, like you were asking, you know, it does continue to be the kind of the pinnacle. They're the fastest, most capable, you know, in this case with the Raptor R, the most powerful, you know, configurations of vehicles that we have in the Ford portfolio for off-roading. And that is just at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, I mean, it drives nice and handles. You know, the fun thing when I was growing up reading the car magazines was getting those bad reviews and getting an MG or something that was just awful. Yeah. And it was like almost funny reading. Now everything's pretty good. You know, all cars are built to a much higher level, much higher standard.
Yep.
You don't get the 37-inch wheels in the Tremor. Right?
No, the Raptor Tremors right now come with 33s.
Oh, okay.
The Raptor, like the entry-level Raptor, which I say that's a silly thing to even call it an entry-level Raptor, but the V6 Raptor right, comes in both the 35 and the 37, and then the V8 only comes in the 37.
It's funny, it's sitting up pretty high, but it feels like the center of gravity is low.
Yeah.
And when I opened that hood and I saw how low that engine was, I said, oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah. Well, and the width, right, really helps with that, you know. You know, the extra 6 inches, right, which you know, kind of drives a lot of lighting that has to happen on the truck, you know, but that extra 6 inches versus a regular F-150, when you get out into the desert, makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And that stability really just is essential. And that's what Raptor gives you. That's like a key critical tenet of Raptor that doesn't exist on something like Tremor, for example.
Can you raise and lower the ride height?
Obviously, when you design something like this to be on 37s, which is what we've done with Raptor R, right? Everything is tuned to that ride height. So you can imagine now, right, like cameras and sensors and everything, right? It's at that ride height. So, you know, like, so when we do both the 35 and 37-inch configuration on the V6, right, that's 2 different, you know, tunings and calibrations that go along with all that equipment that has to know how far you are from the ground.
Boy, I'd hate to be in the speed shop business because those days are pretty much gone forever. There's almost nothing you do to get more horsepower and still be in compliance with emissions.
With emissions, It's become a challenge, Jay, no doubt.
But I mean, a lot of people still think louder is faster. You know?
And you know, we get asked a lot too, like, well, you know, how does Raptor R fit into this whole, you know, electrified world, right? I mean, Mr. Farley's made not hidden the fact that, you know, electrification plays a big role in, you know, the future of Ford, but he's also been clear in saying that, you know, the Ford Blue products, which are the, you know, gas powered or ICE, you know, vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles, need to play a role, and that he wants to have a leadership position in both of those segments, and, you know, win in both of those segments. So no, I mean, this plays into a strategy where we want to win in this segment, and I think that we deliver on that. So no, I think it's perfectly okay to have a perfectly big motor that makes a lot of horsepower and puts a smile on your face with this kind of visceral power, but also be developing, you know, future, you know, electrified vehicles. I think that there's still a way to kind of you know, see how that strategy does play together.
3, 4, 5. Go!
We get triple digits there?
No, because that would be wrong. But it's impressive. You know, the thing that fascinates me for vehicles like this is synthetic fuel. Like, to me, this, if you take away the polluting aspect of this or any other gas engine, you've really just got the same environmental impact as a mechanical watch, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not the V8, it's not even the noise, it's the byproduct of the power. If you can come up with a synthetic fuel that doesn't pollute, you're home free.
Yeah, you got a winner.
Yeah, I mean, and nobody can ever predict the future, you know? That's what I always find fascinating. When I was a kid, there's going to be flying cars. You just take a pill instead of eating a meal. And then, of course, the iPhone comes out, and you carry all the knowledge of the world in your hand wherever you go. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody came even close to predicting that. You know, so to think that all of some synthetic fuel could come out that could just revolutionize the game, boy, it gathers speed quickly. You know what I mean? It just, because once it's rolling, boy, that mid-range is so strong.
Yeah, it is.
I like how it's firm but comfortable. It doesn't, I'm not getting a kidney punch when I hit a big pothole. It really does seem to float over the over the potholes and the berms and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and some of that credit too goes to our partners on Fox, right? Who do our shocks, right? They really, that partnership that's been in place with Raptor from day one.
Yeah.
Is just.
Well, I always like that kind of boutique manufacturing you do now. You know, who's got the best brakes? Brembo, go to Brembo. Who's got the best transmission? You know, whoever it might be, rather than just everybody trying to make their own version of a better product. Just get the better product. You know, when people complain about the mileage of these kind of vehicles, they always go, well, what's it cost to go skiing? 150. To me, this is my entertainment. This is what I like to do. I'd rather, I'll eat at McDonald's and put my food money into the gas tank.
Yeah, in the end, Jay, I mean, we try to do what we can, but it's not a why buy for this customer, right? You know, we keep an eye on fuel economy. Obviously, we want to do the very best that we can, but I
really enjoy driving it, and the more I like the car, the less I care about it. If I'm driving an awful car, then it's you know, some mid-60s kind of beast that's, you know, you had those Cadillacs with 500 cubic engines that made 180 horsepower. You're just wasting fuel. It's not fun. It's not fast, you know. If it does something, it's like, okay.
It's worth it.
But it's nice to see American manufacturing at the point where a lot of people get mad at the dealer markup, and I don't blame them, I do too, but if somebody wants an American-made vehicle that much, they're willing to pay well over list. I think that's impressive. I mean, because it didn't always used to be that way.
No.
It'd be the end of the year sale, they can't get rid of whatever.
Yeah, definitely not a thing on Raptor. I mean, through 3 generations, we've seen, you know, markups of varying, you know, degrees of amount. Especially out here on the West Coast, right? They're super popular, and then the dealers here they do other things, and they put other parts on them, and they, you know, it's become a really fantastic thing that, you know, the dealers, but also aftermarket companies are designing parts for Raptors now. It's just become a really
I love the fact that they make that huge leap to aluminum body. You know, because they were the first to do it. Everybody else is scared to death, you know. And then when it became a success, then suddenly the competitors had military grade steel. You know, well, there's no such thing as military grade steel. Did you put it? But they just use that word to make it seem like it's better. You know, I like the fact that Ford takes a chance like that, because that could have gone either way. You never know what. You know, Harley Davidson.
It takes a lot of courage, Jay. It
does. Because Harley got stuck in that thing where if you did anything other than change the hand grips every year, oh my God, it's not a Harley. People did you know. So consequently, you're stuck with an older demographic because they just want the same thing they always had. You know. But it's good to see people take a chance. Well, Tony, thanks for bringing this to us, and thanks for having a good truck name, Tony Greco. It sounds like a truck. You know, if you de Havilland Honeysuckle or something, it would just be. It wouldn't be like a truck guy. So
it would be the same.
Yeah, and it's not Anthony. Tony. You know, Tony, thanks for bringing us this fabulous.
No, it's my pleasure to come out and drive with you, Jay. It's a pleasure.
Oh yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. So thank you, my friend.
My pleasure.
And check one of these. You know, if you get a chance to drive one of these, just drive it. I think you'll be impressed by the ride quality. It's as nice as any car I've driven. It feels firm. You feel secure. You're up high. I see why a lot of women like these. You know, they always seem to think, oh, women don't want to drive big trucks. But I find a lot of them do because they feel safer. They can see over traffic. You know, they've got an intimidating vehicle. You know. Yeah. If you're a cute blonde, a little Fiat 500. Guy's going to be driving you nuts. You know, you're in this thing, you just push them off the road. So we'll see you all next week. Thanks, you guys.